Alright folks, we're going to be going over how to graph linear functions. I know in the 3.1 we kind of did a little bit of graphing, but here we're going to get a little bit more in depth on how you'd want to do each graph. So let's start with what a linear equation or function is. A linear equation makes a line. We know that all linear equations are functions except for vertical lines. There are two ways we can make a graph, or we can graph a linear equation. The first is going to be a table. Alright? The first is a table. The second one is actually using slope and only one point. We kind of did a little bit of this and a little bit of this in the first video, but we're going to really just hit it on the head a couple more times just to get you guys used to how to graph functions. Alright, first going to start with what is known as the table. Okay, using the table, you first want to make an x, y, t chart. Alright, so make an x, y, t chart. Okay, this is going to look like something like this. Alright, the x, y, t chart looks something like that. Okay, step 2. Pick an x and substitute it in. Alright, we're going to pick an x and substitute it into our x, y, t chart. Finally, we're going to plot the points. Okay, so let's give you an example. Right here, we have y equals 2x. So I'm going to make a little t-chart over here. Y equals 2x. So once again, we're going to make the x, y, t-chart. Alright, now when I say pick an x, I mean I don't really care what x it is. But for the sake of this graph, you might want to pick something that you can actually see. I can see -1, -2, -3, -4, so on and so forth. So I'm going to try to really stay close to the lower numbers so that we don't end up getting too high or too low on the y-axis. So I'm going to start with, I don't know, we'll do -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Alright, usually that's the basic ones. Some graphs need you to do a little bit different, but for this one, it's fine. So what do I mean by plugging in? Well, if you see right here, you get y equals 2x. You have an x value right here. What we're going to do is we're going to replace that x value with the ones we've chosen on this side of the t-chart. So we get y equals 2x. We're going to put in 2 times -2. Alright, this is going to give us what our y is. So 2 times -2 gives us -4. Alright, 2 times, well, -1 will give us -2. 0, so 2 times 0 equals 0. Then you get 2 times 1, which equals 2. And then 2 times 2, which equals 4. Okay, so now you're given points. Alright, this is your first point, -2, -4. Alright, so you technically have -2, -4 is 1 point. -1, -2 is another point. 0, well, 0 is another point. 2 is another point. And finally, 2, 4 is another point. So you have all these points right here. What we're going to do is we're going to plot these one by one onto this graph. So first we got -2, -4. So -2, -1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we always go x's then y's. Then we have -1, -2. Then we have 0, 0. Then we have 1, alright. We have actually 2, 2. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. This should be a 1, 2, not a 2, 2. I do apologize. So this should be 1, 2. Finally, it should be 2, 4. You notice they're all in a straight row. This is what's known as a linear equation. Connect all the dots. And there you go. Okay? Alright. Using slope and 1 point. A line is made up by 2 points. Alright? It means any 2 points. So the easiest point to find is first the y-intercept. So when we graph, if we're given the slope and 1 point, we can graph the single point and use the slope to find the second point. Okay? For example, we have f of x equals -3. Well, f of x, remember, is our y. Okay, so f of x is just tell you it's a function. It's technically our y. Now remember, y equals mx plus b. Okay, this form is what we're actually talking about, where the b is the y-intercept and the m is the slope. So we're looking at -3. So we have -3 next to the x. Notice the slope is always next to the x. But we're missing a y-intercept. Well, if you don't have a y-intercept, what you can say is that 0 is your y-intercept. So we can pretty much say this is plus 0. Okay, that's our y-intercept. That's where the line crosses the y-axis. Remember, the y-axis is up and down thing. So it crosses it at 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to plot where this is. So we're going to put it right here. Okay, so we have the y-intercept, which was 0. Now we have our slope. Remember, the slope is the thing next to the x, which is -3. Okay, slope, remember, is rise over run, meaning how much you need to go up and down over how much you have to go left or right. Well, we have -3. So it tells us our rise, but we don't know our run. So normally, if you do not have a bottom or fraction part, we have to create our fraction. So technically our slope is -3 over 1. So now let's actually plot this. So once again, we put the 0 down because this is the y-intercept. Alright, where is y0? Y is 0 right here, so we put a point there. Now we get -3, 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here. -3, and that means we have a negative rise. Alright, that means a fall. Okay, negative rise means a fall. So you get down 1, 2, 3. Now since it's a positive 1, we go to the right. Now if it was a -1, we'd go to the left, but we're going to go to the right now. Create our second point. Now we have our y-intercept, and we used our slope to get to the second thing. This is what gives us our line. 2 points. Any 2 points they are, gives us a line. You just connect the 2 points, and you have yourself a line. Again, this time we have -6. So -6, right, is our y-intercept. Y-intercept. Now, we are going to go down to -6. We're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is where -6 is on the y-axis. And since the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, it crosses it at -6. Alright, once again we have our slope. It's -3 over 1. Uh-oh. We can't go down any farther because we're going to run out of graph. So here's a little trick. Doesn't matter where the negative is. It could be at the top or it could be at the bottom. It could be either one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this negative to the bottom and make this top 3. Okay, this still means that this is negative. The whole thing is still negative. It's just I'm transferring whether I want the rise or the run to be negative. Okay, so now our rise is positive. So we're going to go up 1, 2, and 3. And since we have a negative run, we're going to go to the left 1. So we went up 1, 2, 3, went over 1. Okay, 2 points, makes a line. That's all you had to do. use tables graph y equals 5x minus 1. So we're going to use our t-chart once again. 5x, y equals 5x minus 1. So let's make our t-chart. X and y. Okay, x and y. Once again, we're going to use our numbers on the x value. We're just going to pick any one. I'm still going to do -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Because it's easiest for me. And we're going to plug in these numbers in for x. So, -2. Well, -2 goes in the x, so it would be 5 times -2 minus 1, which equals 5 times -2, which is -10, minus 1 would be -11. Alright, -1, 5 times -1, minus 1. 5 times -1 is -5, minus 1 is -6. We have 5 times 0. 5 times 0 is 0, minus 1. Alright, would be -1. If you notice the pattern, we are increasing by 5 each time. Alright, next time is 5 times 1. 5 times 1 is 5 minus 1 equals 4. Finally, we've got 2. 5 times 2. Alright, 5 times 2 is 10. Minus 1 equals 9. Okay, now we have our points. We have -2, -11, -1, -6, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2, 9. So our x's are here, our y's are here. These are all our y's. Okay, so let's graph these. Alright, so this first point, I can actually graph it. Alright, I know, we're all sad, but can't really graph it. This next one I can. Alright, so let's look for -1, -6. -1, alright, go down, -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First point. Second point, 0, -1. So 0, -1. Oh, sorry. So once again, we went down over 1 because our x was -1, and because our y was -6, we went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. Next step, 1, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, the next one can't really graph. Now these are all 3 we could graph. Remember that we only needed 2 of these points to really make a line, but here you go. So let's connect these together. There you go. Makes another line. Alright, now we're going to use slope, y-intercept to graph this. So, once again, what you're going to do, you're going to look at this. Okay, you're going to look at this. And you're going to look at this. This is our slope. Y-intercept. Y-intercept's where it crosses the y-axis. So we're first going to look at that. Cross the y-axis at 2. So we're going to put a dot at 2 on the y-axis. And slope is 3 over 2. So that's going to be positive rise, positive run. So positive rise, 1, 2, 3. Positive run, 1, 2. 2 points. It's the line, and we graph. Okay. Alright, so now that we've learned how to graph it, and the 2 different methods, I'm going to teach you guys how to transform any equation that has an x and a y into the form in which we can do these 2 things. So, first thing you need to know is that what's slope-intercept form. So the y equals mxb form. So you have your y equals your slope next to the x plus your y-intercept. So this is why it's called the slope-intercept, because you have your slope and your intercept in the form. The m, remember the m stands for slope. Okay, slope is the rise over run. Okay, rise over run, so the slope. B stands for y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is where the line, all right, crosses the y-axis, the up and down axis. Okay. Now, let me show you an example of how to do this. So you have 3x plus 4y equals -12. Well, in this form, the y is by itself. So it's like when we're talking about those literal equations that we didn't really have a specific answer for earlier in the year. This is going to come back. So first thing we're going to do is we have 3x and we have 4y. Well, we're trying to get this y by itself. So what we want to do first is get rid of the 3x. It's a positive 3x, so we subtract 3x from both sides. Subtract 3x from both sides. Okay? So right now we have 4y left on the left side equals negative 12 minus 3x. Next step, get rid of this 4 in front of the y. Well, the 4 is multiplying the y, so we had to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So we divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. This crosses out. We get y by itself. Alright. We have y equals. Alright. Y equals negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. And this stays as a negative 3/4 x. Normally you want to leave it in the form looking like this. But to me, it doesn't honestly matter. Now we have it in y equals mx plus b form. Okay? We have our slope, we have our y-intercept. Once again, let's try this again. So first things first, get rid of the 2. It's a positive 2, so you have to subtract 2x from both sides. So you have negative 3y equals 6 minus 2x. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. So we got y by itself. 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Now, notice we have a negative 2 and a negative 3. Remember, two negatives. Even if you're multiplying or dividing, when you have two negatives, it becomes a positive. So this is a positive 2 over 3x. Okay? Or if you want to write it in the more traditional sense, it's y equals 2 over 3x minus 2. Slope, y-intercept. Slope, y-intercept. Now, once you pause the video, try these two. Okay, just try to get them done by yourself. Okay, let's go over these. Once again, we got a 4x right here. So we're going to get rid of the 4x, subtract 4x. You guys are noticing the pattern. First, we either add or subtract the x. So we get negative 6y equals, I'm just going to write this like this, just so I don't have to transform it at the end. This is the same thing as saying minus 4x is negative 4x, same thing. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6. These cancels out. This reduces. You have negative negative becomes a positive. 2 over 6. Alright, 2 over 6 can be reduced down to, so this is y equals 2 over 3. Have an x at the end. This, 18 divided by negative 6, becomes negative 3. That's what your final answer should look like. Alright, first step. Once again, get rid of the 6x minus 6x. Okay. So you have negative 3y equals negative 6x plus 15. We want to get rid of the thing in front of the y by dividing by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Two negatives makes positive, so it's y equals 2x. Positive negative, you get minus 5. Final answer. Alright? Simple as that. We're already on our last page. Now, if you get lazy and you don't want to actually transform it into the y equals mx plus b format, alright, if you have your equation look like this, we can graph it in a whole new way. Okay? We're going to do this by setting things equal to 0. Alright? Now, if you guys remember earlier in the video, we made the t-charts, right? We made the t-charts. We made the little t-charts, x, y, alright? We made the t-charts. We put in some x into the x format and figured out what y came out. Well, we can do essentially the same thing here. So we're going to be doing a little bit different. We're just going to be plugging stuff in. So, a couple step process. First step, we're going to set x equal to 0. Alright, so first step is we're going to set x equal to 0. The reason why we're doing that, let's think about this. Okay, so whenever you have a point on the y-axis, so let's say we have a point right here. Okay, say we had a point right here. Well, my x value is 0. Alright, my x value is 0. If I have a point on the x line, my y value is 0. So what we're actually trying to do here is trying to find the x and the y-intercept. Remember, intercept means where it crosses an axis. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. The x is where it crosses the x-axis. So first one we're trying to find is trying to find the y-axis by setting x equal to 0. So what we do is we put 0 in for x. Alright. 5 times 0 is 0. So we can have negative 3y equals 15. Divided by negative 3, divided by negative 3. Y ends up being, our y-intercept, okay, remember this is the y-intercept, is negative 5. So technically it would be, the point would be 0, negative 5. Okay, step 2 is to find the x-intercept. We do that by plugging in y equals 0. So remember, if we're trying to find the x-intercept, we plug in y equals 0. If we're trying to find the y-intercept, we put in x as 0. So we have 5x minus 3 times 0, because remember we're replacing 0 with y, equals 15. That gives us 5x equals 15. We divide by 5, we divide by 5, x equals 3. So we have our y-intercept, which is at negative 5, or if you want to point, it's at 0, negative 5. Our x-intercept will be at 3, 0. Alright? So we're going to plot these 2 points. Alright, 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, y-intercept, 3, 0, x-intercept. So we have 2 points. Remember what we say when we have 2 points? We have a line. So we can draw a line. So we talked about 3 different ways to really plot this stuff. If it looks like this, you can try to find the intercepts. If it's y equals mx plus b, you can either do the table or you can do the point and the slope. Finally, let's recall the special lines. Okay, special lines where y equals some number or x equals some number. Alright? So if we had like y equals 2, okay, y equals 2 would be a horizontal line at where y is 2 at. Okay? Let's say we had x equals 2. Okay? X equals just some number. We would have a vertical line at where x is 2. These are why these are special. Now, this one has a slope of 0. Okay? It's a function, but it has a slope of 0. This, alright, this is not a function. It has no slope. If you put a little man on here, he'll just fall off. This guy would have to walk in a straight line. This man would fall off. So that's what it means why they're special. Okay, it's x and y because it makes either a straight line, either going horizontal or vertical. Remember, this is not a function. This is a function. This has no slope. The slope is undefined, and this has a slope of 0. That's all I have for today. Hopefully, you guys will come in prepared on Thursday to do the notes and stuff like that. Actually, it'd be Tuesday. I do apologize. But beyond that, thank you for listening.